I wanted, I could have it. I embrace my inner alchemist. I attract all things I manifest. Bad bitch. If I want it, I could have it. I embrace my inner alchemist. I attract all things I manifest.
Peace, 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 family. How you all doing? I hope all is well with you. My name is Keisha. I'm the owner of Astrologiks, and I am your astrology coach. Today, I am going to be discussing the full moon in Gemini, and I actually wanted to bring up the chart so we can take a look at it. I said I was going to try to get better at doing that. So you guys see, I hope you can see. Let's just bring this down. Mercury retrograde is retrograding. I'm having some technical difficulties. Okay, let's try this one more time. Okay, finally. All right, so this Gemini full moon happens on December 15th at 23 degrees. And you can see the full moon right here. It's conjunct Jupiter in retrograde. So when you see the red in your chart, that means it's a retrograde. And anytime you have a full moon, that means it's opposite the sun, which is in Sagittarius right here. And full moons typically represent some kind of completion. It tends to highlight things culminating from 6 months ago. So you definitely want to think back 6 months ago when we had the full moon, the new moon in Gemini back in June. That was also the same time that Jupiter entered. This full moon is kind of like a halfway point, a midpoint of what you learned, what information you gathered. Whatever new it was you started, is it still relevant? Do you still want it? Is a continuation of it? Is it growing? Are you doing more research? Do you need to take a class? Did you take a class? How's that class playing out for you? Did you promote something? Did you start a website? How's that playing out for you? Things that were said and spoken, details that were given. You're kind of just reevaluating whatever was coming up for you at that time. And then you also want to think back 2 weeks ago when we had the Sagittarius new moon, which I did not do a video for. However, you can look at the video I did on Jupiter opposing Mercury. And the reason why is because you can see the opposition right here, and it's in mutual reception. And when it's in mutual reception, like I described in that video, it basically means that Jupiter is in Gemini sign, as you can see, and Mercury is in Sagittarius's sign, as you can see. So even though there's an opposition, there's still in agreement with the opposition. So this was me discussing, agreeing to disagree, allowing other people to have their different viewpoints, and learning how to listen. Gemini rules listening, not just communicating and talking. And just accepting that everybody's different in their own way, and seeing that with love and understanding, patience, being flexible. Mutable energy is flexible, and both Jupiter and Gemini are mutable signs, as well as Pisces and Virgo. So those are the signs that will feel this full moon the most. But again, everybody has Jupiter somewhere in their chart. So everybody's being asked to be a little bit flexible and understanding with people's differences and how they like things or want things, or their beliefs or their morals, their ethics. Doesn't mean that you have to connect with them, but who knows what you can learn through oppositions, what you can learn through people's differences, what you can learn from people's culture, and seeing how differences can be the same. There's going to be a lot of stuff like that going on. And we also have 23 degrees, which is a Aquarius degree, and that's trining the Pluto conjunct Venus right here as a trine to this Gemini energy. Now, the reason why I really liked that this is a trine here is because I feel like this is connecting us to our higher self. Even Jupiter is about being in your higher perspective, having a bigger picture. Now, Jupiter, not necessarily is it a global aspect, but it rules other countries, places outside of where you might live, so foreigners and foreign things. And Aquarius is all about this type of stuff. And so if you're not traveling to learn from other cultures, you might notice that you're tending to meet more people who are different from you. It doesn't necessarily just have to be outside of the country, but different cultures, different perspective, beliefs, morals, religious backgrounds, spiritual practices, and having fun doing that, being open-minded about that, and again, being open to learning things that are foreign from you, alien of you, not like yourself. I think it could be a very interesting thing if you're open and flexible, if not, then obviously, you're going to experience this on a lower expression where there's arguing, fighting, disagreeing, people being pretty dogmatic about their beliefs and standing on that, not open to hearing other perspectives, believing in other perspectives and things of that nature, which we can obviously see a lot of that going on too, especially in the world stage. People's going to have opinions, and opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one. So, that whole theory is definitely going to be playing out. And then Mercury is still going to be retrograde at the time of this full moon, but it's going to be stationary. And so this full moon happens about 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning, depending on where you are. And then later in the day, Mercury is going to go direct. Now, it's going to take Mercury up until January 2nd to get back to its regular speed. And so typically this can result in things like experiencing, unfortunately, a lot more of the typical things that come with Mercury in retrograde, like, having problems with the internet, phone calls dropping, sending messages to the wrong damn person, you know, flights being delayed, miscommunication, not really understanding what people are saying, having a hard time, you know, remembering things, forgetting things. You might forget your damn passport if you're traveling, your keys, lose your keys, or, all the typical mercurial things that tend to happen on a regular basis. I think we'll see, um, unfortunately, a lot more of that, anywhere between Sunday, Monday, maybe even Tuesday, to be quite frank. There's going to be some kind of really big message or news or information or data that comes out that can be shocking with the Aquarius energy. It could be unexpected, sudden information that comes out that shocks the world, data that shocks the world. Um, it could be you might feel on a personal level that you feel some kind of pressure around, like, I got to do something now, like I got to make a decision, right? Because Mercury's been retrograde since what, the 25th of November or the 19th. Don't quote me on the date, but I did do a video for that if you want to go back and check it out. And so we've kind of been in our heads, overthinking, mulling things over, rethinking, revisiting, reconsidering. Mercury, whenever I think of Mercury in retrograde, I always think of why people meditate, the purpose of why people meditate, which is because your mind is loud, there's a lot going on. You might be getting a lot of downloads, again, receiving a lot of information, consuming a lot of information, hearing different stories and gossip and things of that nature going on. And you're like, I don't know what to believe. This is too much. I can't really take it right now. I don't understand. There's a lot going on. Leave me alone. I can't. It could feel like your mind is going back and forth, up and down, round and round, and you don't really know what it is you want to do or choose to do. And so there could be a sense of pressure that comes up once Mercury goes direct, that makes you feel like, okay, I got to make a decision. I'm tired of holding this in. I don't want to think about it anymore. Let's get things out on the table. Let's say how I feel, speak my truth, all the things that have been kind of coming up for you while Mercury was retrograde can just feel like it wants to come out. And because Jupiter is connected to this, Jupiter makes things bigger, right? And so I can only imagine. I mean, there's already been a bunch of stuff that has come out, unfortunately, that has been bonkers. And I'd be very careful about what you believe, especially on the world stage, hell, even in your personal life, but you would know, right? Who you're speaking to, who to believe, who's always lying, um, and who tells the truth and things of that nature. I feel like this could have more to do with kids on a personal level than anything else. Is like, they say they had homework and they really don't. Or they said they didn't have homework, but they really do. Telling little white lies to get away with stuff, or just because they don't want to do it. And now at this time, you find out, something that happened with your kids, whether it was homework or otherwise, some kind of situation that came up during the retrograde, and you're finding out, oh, so you really did. And then, you have to deal with that and address that and work through it or whatever. It could be a lot of stuff like that. Car issues, exes coming back. Mercury is about siblings. This could definitely have a lot to do with siblings and sibling rivalry and sibling issues, and people not agreeing with your love life or your spiritual or religious practices or views and things of that nature. And maybe perhaps, it was just a bunch of talking. a bunch of information or gossip going around. Oh, she said that about you. He said that about you. Whoop, 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 de whoop. you know, um, and who really cares? But at the end of the day, these might be the things that come back up once Mercury goes direct. Between Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, you can find yourself kind of going back and forth with it. But actually, this time, if you've been holding back and you haven't been saying anything, or you've just been hearing about it, seeing it, but not saying anything, you're going to address it at this time. You're finally going to feel like, okay, I'm tired of hearing it. I'm tired of seeing it. Now I'm going to tell you how I feel. It could be that kind of energy. The pressure to make a decision whether you're going to stay with somebody or leave somebody. You know, um, yeah. I mean, this could also just be, for the people out there, because not everybody's going to be experiencing in that way. It could be more business focused, more that you're educating yourself, reading, studying, learning, writing. Um, this will be a really good time to do some free writing, by the way. If you have had a lot of stuff in your head and you've just been thinking about it, not really knowing what to do with it, it's just too much, right? It was too much to deal with. You might have even just felt really stuck, like, I don't know what the fuck to do with this information, especially the spiritual downloads. There has been so much going on. I don't know if anybody else has been feeling this. But I mean, the downloads I have been getting have been absolutely insane. And I'm like, do I really care? Do I want to address it? And then after like 3 minutes, it's gone. And you don't think about it again. It might come up here and there, but this would be a good time to sit down and actually write what comes up for you, especially I'd say before you go to bed Sunday night when Mercury is already direct. You're going to get more clarity on something that has been in your brain that you might have been avoiding, escaping, not wanting to think about. Or just not sure what to believe, or how to accept it, or what to even do with it for that matter. It could have been a lot of stuff like that going on. You could have had like a lot of mishaps, missing appointments, forgetting appointments. It's really, what when I think about this energy really is that the whole entire world is in a daydream. You ever just feel yourself sitting there just like off in space, like you're aware of what's going on, but you're not really aware of what the fuck's going on. That's how I've been feeling this whole time. Was like, yeah, I do have to address that, huh? I probably do want to cook dinner, huh? But then you never ever get to it. Or by the time you do, it's like 3 hours later, you're like, shit, where'd the time go? It could have been a lot of stuff like that going on, but um, it is what it is. I do feel like because Mars just went retrograde a couple of days after the new moon in Sagittarius. Even though we'll have some release of pressure, Jupiter's still retrograde until February, and Mars is still retrograde until February. And so there's still going to be some stuckness there with taking motivation towards your bigger vision, any kind of business or things that you have going on. It still might be a little bit slow because of those two planets, and you still might not have all the clarity you need because those two planets are retrograde. But what I like about the fact that now even Neptune is direct and Mercury will be going direct is that you get to be in that mode, but it's more creative and fluid with both Mercury and Neptune being direct. You know what I mean? Like I think of like great writers or musicians who, when you do actually get an idea, you're able to do something with it. So you can start to put the pieces together of all the things that you were thinking about. Whatever was coming up for you, you're going to start to be able to move the pieces. You might not present it yet. You might not have the motivation to prevent it yet. Mars is your motivation. What wakes you up in the morning? How are you feeling about what wakes you up in the morning? How do you feel about your bigger vision and how you see your future? And I also have to include that even whatever you come up with now, know that it might change because we are going through a major shift of outer planets by the time Mars and Jupiter go direct next year, February. By March, Saturn, I think it's Saturn, moves into Neptune, Aries first, and then Neptune, or vice versa. Either way, that's going to be the first shift into this Aries, Saturn and Neptune moving into Aries. I did do videos on those two planets. If you want to go and start thinking about, this would be a really good time to revisit those 2025 videos that I did, to start thinking about how things are changing. And how you can incorporate what you're now able to get clarity on and put those pieces in, or incorporate them in, or try to play around with different scenarios with whatever's coming up for you. That's a really good way to help you get started for the actual new year in April, when we'll also have Jupiter moving into Cancer. And I think that's it. But I think Venus by that time will be retrograde. So creativity might be a little shot, but nonetheless, either way, I really like this energy for that, to take the opportunity to take advantage of the clarity that you're receiving, to make moves and plan, structure, plan, right? Because Saturn, I don't even really think, to be quite frank, that Saturn is, it's not square this Gemini full moon just yet. I think it'll square later on in the month. More so than anything, it's actually Neptune that's squaring this full moon in Gemini. And Neptune is not a personal planet, it's an outer planet, meaning it's more global. But I do still feel like it's going to give us immense amount of creativity to create imagination with Mercury. Even though Mercury's in Jupiter, and it's not like, Jupiter is not necessarily a sign that's about imagination and things of that nature, but Gemini is. And really tap into your imagination, allow your imagination to run wild with what expectations you have. Just know, again, because Jupiter can have you getting a little bit out of control, and Gemini can have you not being really realistic about what it is you're planning, but play around with whatever's coming up, to come up with different scenarios, timelines, planning, projects, ideas, and allow yourself to be a kid again in that way. And if you're not somebody who's into handling these things in that kind of way, and you're like, yeah, I don't really give a shit about none of that. This is family, building with family, building your spiritual practices, going inward and doing some meditation, getting a lot of sleep, taking care of your health and well-being, drinking lots of water, filling up your cup. You might even see a lot more people doing some volunteering around this year, as opposed to celebrating the holidays. I do think on a pretty grand scale, because of the, Trump becoming president, and just all the sadness and disgrace that we're seeing with some of our leaders and people that we've looked up to and believed in at one point in time in our lives. They were pretty big players to our childhood and what we grew up listening to, believing in. Somehow, shape, or form, it has, had some kind of effect on the decisions that we made and the things that we do in life. And to see them going through some of the things that we might be seeing on television and the news and on social media this shit is disturbing, right? And it's sad, and it could even make you angry and disappointed, I think, is an even better word. Just being completely disappointed in what our culture is and what we know it as and what's coming out about that. And I think it could lead people to seriously reconsider my beliefs. Do I really believe in this? Is this my culture? Is this something I want to be associated with? And so because of that, this is really strong energy of being in a position to change your morals, ethics, and beliefs, change your spiritual practices and circles and things of that nature, change your religion and where you might go for that type of praise and things of that nature. I even think this could be praying more, being grateful. What are you grateful for? What are the things that you've done over the years that have made you proud of yourself? What good decisions did you make? Who are the people that you have that help you see that in you, who reflect that in you? Do you have people who reflect that in you? And really, really, really digging, down in the dirt, getting really grounded and making sure that those things that are around you, the things that you support, your spiritual beliefs and practices, your daily patterns, behaviors, they're reflecting who you are and who you want to be. And if you're not doing those things or considering those things or changing those things, then perhaps you're really doing some deep releasing of the olds, deep releasing, letting go bad habits, daily routines and patterns, bad beliefs and things of that nature. I'd be very careful with this process and believe in what you see on TV. I know it's really hard. And I know that a lot of us it's easier to believe some of these storylines and things that are coming up because we've seen this stuff happening years ago, right? And it's only just now becoming a problem. Um, mm, it's not an easy thing to do. You really, really have to be in a Jupiterian mindset and look at the bigger picture when making these decisions. And I think what we're really going to see when these planets go direct is people retreating from decisions they might have made through the mess and muck that has come out now. I'm also going to include that regardless whether or not they are true or not, some things that you needed to change, that's how God shows up in your life. That's how spirit shows up in your life. That's how the universe gets us to change because right now, as we stand, I think we can all agree we needed this cultural change eons ago, right? We can see the destruction over time of the people that we looked up to that again have played major roles in some of the decisions that we've made that we might not really want to be connected to. And it's really almost never in the spiritual realm about the person that made the change. It's really about you. And so when you're working with spirituality in other realms, we're talking about Neptune. This is the unseen, it's intangible. It's usually super subconscious, we're really talking about spirit will do just about anything to get your attention to change, even if they have to use other people, places, and things to do so, which is why it's super important not to judge people for their wrongdoings, but it is going to affect you. You're human, you're here on earth. That's what it's here for, right? We're all here to encourage and influence each other in different ways, good or bad, family, good or bad. But spiritually, just know that when you make those changes, don't hold on to hatred, distrust, even failure of the particular individual place or thing that has made you make that change. Be grateful, show gratitude, give thanks that you could see. You understand what I'm saying, family? Be real, real cautious with that because at the end of the day, everybody's just a human being and everybody is going to be attracted to what they're attracted to for whatever reason. And that's life. That's just life. It's more important to have been grateful that you can see, and you're not being consumed by that to make better decisions. And then you pass that information down to your loved ones, your family, your children, and people who are willing to listen, you know, who come to you for advice, and give them the truth, your truth. That's all you can do at the end of the day. And then it's up to the people to make those decisions for themselves on how they want to move, you know? Because I really do think once all these planets go direct, we're going to see a lot of people changing their mind. Now, a lot of things that come out are going to be retracted. Oh, this was said, but come to find out that really wasn't true type of shit. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. And y'all know I really don't care too much for this country anyway, so turn the TV off, sit down with your family, go do some charity, give back in some way, do something nice for yourself, um, build the bonds that are important to you, get grounded in that. And trust me, that Jupiter and Cancer transit coming up is going to bless you, and you'll begin to see the positivity out of making that decision as opposed to anything else. So, yeah, man. I love it. I love this energy as usual, family. I love and appreciate you. I hope you found this information helpful. Peace.